Welcome to the Air Combat Simulation Podcast, brought to you by BVR Productions. Together with content creators, mission builders, experts, and enthusiasts, we explore the comprehensive world of combat aircraft simulation.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Air Combat Simulation Podcast. Today we're happy to have Ron Zambrano from RAZBAM Simulations as our guest. And on the panel I'm joined by Red Kite.
Hello.
Goat.
Hello.
And I'm Baltic Dragon. I think without any further ado, let's get to the main topic. So Ron, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Pretty honored to be here.
Thanks for coming. And as you'll see later on, we got quite a few questions from the community, which we'll try to. I'll ask most of them. I don't think we'll have time for all of them, and I'm looking forward to a very interesting discussion. But before that, let's start with yourself and RAZBAM Simulations. You can tell us a little bit about you, your team, and the history of software development.
Sure. I've been in this business for 18 years now. Laura started in 2002. Back then, Combat Flight Simulator 2 and Flight Simulator 9 from Microsoft were the big thing. Curious enough, I was watching Falklands documentary, and I thought, Jesus, I need to fly an A4 Skyhawk. Then I decided to develop them for Flight Simulator. That's how it all started. Back then, was a completely no one, and it was funny because my signature, my acronym is RAZBAM, not RAZBAM. And when I said to this guy for this distribution company, I said I put RAZBAM, he put RAZBAM, but the name stuck, and that's how RAZBAM was born. And I spent probably 50 years in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I went through FS9 to FSX, FSX acceleration, and then we moved to proprietary. In the interim, I also created products for the Strike Fighter series. I don't know if you are familiar with that one. Strike Fighter Service Pack 1, Wings over Vietnam, Wings over Israel, and Wings over Europe, I think was the other name. We had something like Combat Flight Simulator from Microsoft, but with jets. And I always love jet aircraft, combat aircraft, not more into civilian aircraft. But being a niche, within a niche, which was, Microsoft Flight Simulator, civilian sims, it was hard to get it to actually get good financial results. But we managed to keep alive until one day I was approached and by Eagle Dynamics, by a friend who was in contact with Eagle Dynamics. And he said he was not interested in creating things for DCS. Back then I didn't have any idea what DCS was. I was familiar with Lomac and Flaming Cliffs. I have Flaming Cliffs. I played Flaming Cliffs where I wasn't that much into Russian planes. But say, okay, I have this meeting. We went to this meeting with the high-ups from Eagle Dynamics. They really asked a lot of questions, asked for a lot of, actually they were really adamant to put third party into DCS since they have a level of quality that they don't really want to put it below their current benchmark. So we have to prove that we could do it, and we did some tests and to see how feasible it was. But it was needed to create a model for DCS. Actually, back then, DCS didn't have a software development kit. Most of the stuff was changing because they were always evolving the core engine. So we created P2 Hawkeye. I don't know if you remember, we were developing that one a long time ago. We used that one as a test base for us into DCS. It actually teaches what was needed, not just 3D wise, but code wise. Gave us an idea of time frames, level of details. Once we were certain, actually, once I was certain that we could actually, develop for it, we took the plunge, and we were coming out with F-15E Strike Eagle back then. But we ran into some complications, not from us, but actually from the simulator itself. And we moved forward to another product we have in development that was actually ready to do the jump into DCS, which was the Mirage 2000C. Mirage 2000C developer, Tim Taylor, he owns a company named Metal to Mesh. We are really good friends, and he took forward and said, okay, let's move it, let's get into this DCS, and let's see what happens, let's go forward. And it took us almost 2 years to put out the first early access version for the Mirage. We did have a lot of information, but we did not have, the actual documents, because French aircraft, it's really difficult to find the actual documents, like NATOPS or aircrew manuals and stuff like this. Really, really difficult. But I think we did a great job back then, and the model has been evolving from then up to now. Just as a show that it's currently being used by the French Air Force for training in their new training syllabus they have. And then after we finished the Mirage, it was considered a done deal back then, even for Eagle Dynamics. I know that the community asked a lot of things and they thought it wasn't finished. There's a lot of stuff going behind curtains that most of the community doesn't understand. It's creating stuff for a flight simulator. And once considered finished, we moved to the Harrier. When we moved into the Harrier, we have a lot of information from it directly on the pertinent sources. Then we move into the MiG-19. The MiG-19 is actually, I think the MiG-19 might be our first and unique model, which was not intended as a training tool, but most as a game asset. I know people don't like to call simulators games, but at the end of the day, it's a computer game. And that's where we're standing right now. I want to be, there's something I always say in my Discord channel or on Facebook. Our main developing stream is directed to training tools. So we work with some Air Forces creating stuff. We move them back to DCS as a gaming asset, call it some way.
Interesting. Now, is that and so your primary business stream actually is for supporting training?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Very cool. And is DCS the platform
Yes.
that you generally use?
Yes.
When you're okay.
DCS is the main platform, but it's not DCS as DCS per se. It's the combat simulator, I think is the name.
Gotcha. And do you deploy that, or is that something that you're walking into and the other platform that somebody else has?
No, it's the same thing, but the licenses are different.
Okay.
So before we jump to the models, some people were asking about the structure of RAZBAM Sims. Can you tell a little bit more about the people working for you? There's a team for Falklands map. There's a team for MiG-19. If you could tell a little bit more about that.
Sure. Okay, RAZBAM is actually all over the world, to say it in one way. I have coding, which is made by Larry, happens to be my brother, brother. Myself was a 2D developer. Tim Taylor is from Metal to Mesh. He's a 3D developer. We have Clark Wardle, or I don't know if that pronounced right. He's from UK. We also have Hank Essers from Belgium, Jose Valdez is from Mexico. All these are 2D developers. There's Niham, Carlos. Basically, we are more 2D developers than coders. There's the coding department, which is being managed by Larry. He does have his own team, and it's like a fluctuating team. They are like guns for hire. He needs something, he goes to somebody else, but he manages the whole stuff. So what we do is that developers are always busy. They're always creating something. That's why we start posting pics in our website, in Facebook, or in Discord. People say, "Hey, finish this, finish that." 3D developers are always busy. So what we have here is most like a production line. So one thing moves forward, and when one product's ready, we move to the next one. But at that time, the artwork should be ready, so just go directly to coding. So it never stops. Also, what we do is we never abandon any product, so we keep updating stuff. For instance, the version that you are currently using of the Mirage has been approved by the French Air Force, but before we could put that into the public, it was like 6 months. So something similar is going on with the Harrier. There are a lot of stuff I can't talk about the Harrier. There's some legal grounds there, but it's going through similar process like the Mirage. Even as some people say it doesn't work that way, there is a NatTubs going around the internet. Yeah, let me tell you guys, that NatTubs, it's not really the stuff you should use as a source, because they no longer use that one. There's something called a CBT, computer-based training tool. So something completely different. But 3D developers are always busy. So once we have things ready in the 2D department, it goes to coding. And then coding starts. Coding is the part that takes longer because, like I said in the beginning, Eagle Dynamics is always improving DCS. So what might be working now might not work in the future because something's changed. So we have to keep going at their pace. I don't know if that was the answer you were looking.
Yeah, thanks. I think that explains it. And also, there's another team for Falklands. That's a different team of people, right?
Yeah, we have it. That's a different. Well, it's a different team, but it's of the core. The core team is distributed between different projects, and we have a department named Terrain Development. So we are planning some other terrains types Falklands, but we decided first to Falklands because there's a lot to be learned about map development for DCS. It's an uncharted territory, not just for us, even for Eagle Dynamics, because they want to put out the best visual solution you can find in a digital form or in a game, however you want to call it, a simulator. So it's always changing too. So it's almost like a test bed to all the things we're going to come out after that. But it doesn't mean it's not going to be like a good product. It won't come out until it's ready. That's why you don't see that much pictures posted from us in the internet, because they don't want me to post pictures because they don't feel it's right yet. I mean, I talk about the 2 development 5. And when we put pictures, they're intentionally degraded. That's what you don't want to ruin the surprise.
Yeah. So while we're on Falklands, we have two questions from the community. So one is the Sea Harrier going to be part of the Falklands map?
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. The Sea Harrier will be a complete different product. It won't be included with the Falkland map. You have
The AI will be, and there'll be another one flyable. That will be a separate model, right?
Yeah, it will be completely flyable. I'm personally working on it. I'm the chief developer of it.
And do you have the other questions? Is there a definitive list of assets that will be coming out with the terrain?
Well, here's the plan. When you develop something like the Falklands, which was a very was a conflict in a very specific area, you have little to play with, right? So what most people remember of the Falklands is the 1982 conflict. But in 1982, the Falklands was just an airbase, and you have the Argentina airbase. That was it. There was nothing else. So what was decided is to create a current Falklands map with include Mount Pleasant So we can include more assets into it. So it'd be like, you have two air bases and the continent. And at the same time, a 1982 period version will be included. Having said that, it means that it will have 1982 assets and probably some current ones that are specific to the area. For instance, there's going to be some AI aircraft like the Canberra, Dagger, Mirage, uh, some choppers, some Argentine choppers, some UK choppers, some Argentine Navy ships, most of the UK Navy ships with the 1982 period. But at the same time, you have Mount Pleasant right there, and you're going to see some assets included for like maybe 90s Amira over there. But all will be included with the map. But once it's released, most likely you won't have all the assets in release time because we keep updating it and we'll keep adding stuff.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you look, for instance, in Normandy, which is a nice map, but you can't really use it for modern scenarios because of how it looks. So if you're doing it in a wider perspective, that's a good idea from point of view of people like me who will be building missions and campaigns for that. So that's good to know.
Actually, that's part of my plan. Tell you to create the 1982 conflict.
Yeah, we spoke about it, so I think that's going to be interesting, especially that there's lots of people that took part in it, so you can get lots of first-hand experience, and there's lots of books and movies. So I'm sure it'll be an interesting one.
I was contacted actually by some Falkland Islander on the news network over there, and he's pretty much in contact with me. So right now we are under the COVID pandemic, so all the plans for these were changed. But my plans was to go over to Falklands and take some pictures and see the place. But I think that have to wait at least for another year. Same thing goes for Argentina because I have plans to go to Argentina and to visit the bases they use. I think it was Trelew and I don't remember the name of the other one. Rio Grande Air Base. But since we have a COVID-19 pandemic, everything, have to wait.
Yeah, we just have to sit at home, enjoy the CS more than we did before, I guess. Sorry, Goto, you had a question?
Yeah, no, I was curious, and just sort of taking a step when you're looking at the map. What is the research that you do to bring that to life? What are the assets that you look at and that you as you design it and then put it into the software?
Okay, that should be Clark answering the question. But we use there are two main software. One is a terraforming software, and there is a geographical software where we get all the information, like altitudes and geographic position. It's like Google Maps, but it's not Google Maps. I don't remember the name right now. Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. I don't remember the name right now, but that's what we use. It gets into the into Max, which is developing program, and it extrapolates information from one to the other, and it gives us the basic geographical situation of everything. Once that's in, you go through all the SDK and you start using Eagle Dynamics tools to start putting stuff and assembling the complete map. It's we could say it's almost like a pixel to pixel work. It's like creating every square kilometers by hand. So we have the basic elevations like mountains or cliffs, and then you have to sculpt like the cliff itself or the mountain itself, so it doesn't look like a plain cylinder or a plain cube. It's very demanding job.
Yeah, I can imagine. And is it a different skill set than a software developer, given the SDK, or is it the same skill set?
Well, you gotta be very proficient at 3D development, because you need to use a lot of knowledge to include a lot of detail with less amount of polygons, so you can have a smoother, more experience in the game or in the sim. I'm sorry I call this a game. Sorry, I know it's a simulator. I know many people might get angry if I call it a game, but
I certainly am not offended. So please, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's exactly. Well, that's super interesting. I mean, I didn't know it was such a laborious work that you really have to do it. I thought you'd kind of automate it somehow, creating the maps.
it's really demanding. I think that well, it all depends on the level of detailing you want to put out. Because you can put out something like a flat map, and you say, okay, this is whatever you want to call it, and you put it out in 2-3 months. It's easy. You can even use Google Maps textures or satellite texture and put it on, and there you go. That won't be like something you want to buy, doesn't it? So what you want to buy or get into as a product, something that's as close as possible within the realms of what the game allows us to put into the game.
Does Eagle Dynamics have a different quality standard for maps, or did you talk to them about that as a different type of product for development?
Well, Eagle Dynamics is very demanding quality-wise. Well, it's very demanding in every aspect, but you got to go through process which they accept what you put out, because they want to keep, like I said before, they want to keep a current quality standard, because at the end of the day, it's what represents the game itself. So you got to go up to their standards. If they put more detailing into their in-the-house developments, we gotta go at the same level.
All right. Unless Redkite, do you have any questions on Falklands?
Yeah, how does the Mariana Islands has been teased by Eagle Dynamics? We've seen increased detail in the rocks and the terrain. Can we expect to see anything of a similar level, given the much smaller nature of the Falklands map compared to some of the larger DCS maps?
Well, there is quite a difference between the terrains, because as you know, the Falklands are not exactly alive. It's not a desert. We can call it a green desert. But what we are doing in the Falklands, it's we are nitpicking about terrain. I don't know, remember the name right now. But the thing is, we are actually looking to details, the parts that we know are going to be used for everyone. When you go have a terrain like for instance, let's say Nevada. Nevada is basically a desert, right? But when you fly into Nevada and you fly at a certain altitude, you can see down and you see old roads. You can even see the old craters from when they were testing the nuclear warheads. It's something we try to do also with the Falklands. Now, if you try to create a Falklands map after the Falklands War, you have to include also some landmarks like, crash aircraft or minefields are abandoned, stuff like that. So that's what we are looking to create. You won't find forests in Falklands, so we have to add something that will make you look and make you wander around the map. Since we have, you can also drive cars in DCS to actually fly or see something interesting. What will be, I'm thinking right now, what will be quite a job is to replicate the Argentinian coastline. Well, we'll do it.
Cool. So we can expect to see some of the signs of war on the post-Falklands War map variant then.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the idea of going there.
Does the detail also include things like the bay where the British forces landed? Can we expect to see the rocks and the coastline be detailed enough to make it suitable for a mission area? So, for example, if we were planning an attack on the said forces, we'd have some nice high-def scenery there in the specific areas, or is it across the entire coast that you can expect to have the higher than what was previous for DCS coastal detail? But
that's the idea, because, for instance, myself, I really like to use the DA Combat Arms. And I like to go into the terrains and go to, driving a tank or driving a car or driving a Jeep or a Hummer. Because I like it. I like to fly planes, so I like to go to see the maps in that level. And Clark, the guy who's in charge of managing the World Falkland stuff, is looking is exactly for that. You can recreate the landings of the British, or you can recreate the Argentinian invasion, or you can recreate it, make believe a scenario where the Argentinians go back, or maybe the Chinese invaded, or maybe, I don't know. The idea is to have a really nice sandbox to play around.
That sounds very good. I'm looking forward to it. So maybe let's quickly move to. There's a lot of questions on your future modules, which is understandable, and the Mud Hen being I think, most asked about. But if we could just quickly cover a few things on the Harrier and the Tarawa. So for the Harrier questions, are there any plans to bring a radar, you say, version?
The APA-B plus.
Radar? Yep.
Of course. Has been from day one. But we are waiting for DCS to be ready for it.
Yeah, so the ground radar, for instance, right?
Exactly, ground radar. There's no reason to include it right now because there's no ground radar. And it uses exactly the same radar as the F-18. So,
all right. Yeah.
While we are not waiting for Eagle Dynamics to finish their F-18, we are waiting for them to put the air-to-ground radar API.
Which they said they would, they started doing already, I think. Slowly.
Yeah.
Good. And then, any news on the new pilot body in the Harrier?
Of course. Tim is really working on an amazingly good pilot body for the Harrier, which is Scan. He's working on it right now. I don't know if you have seen the Mirage new pilot body.
Yeah.
It's going to be up, if not better, to that one.
Great. And then, if I may add something, so for the Harrier, I probably should in a month have the short 5-mission campaign that will be included with it in Caucasus. That will be followed by the DLC later on. So it's also something that's coming out soon. Will be added to the module. Yeah. And working on the manual, full-fledged one. But I think we still need some stuff to be finished on the Harrier before it's doable to make a full-fledged manual, right?
Exactly. The Harrier is always evolving as well because, like I said, it goes through the same process as the Mirage. It's a fine line of what I can talk freely about the Harrier development, because as you may know, it's a current aircraft being used, and there's so much we can say and so much we can't say. But we have people that are pretty much involved with the real aircraft, working in not working, but testing what we do. And while I see that some people complain there are some stuff that looks very easy to fix, like keybinds or some figures on the HUD, something like that, and they say, why you don't fix this far? Because when you code, it's like a stream, right? You don't jump from A to E without going to B and C. So before we fix stuff you think it's really, really easy to fix, you have to fix more core stuff. And to fix core stuff, it's not like it's not like Larry goes open the code and type some lines. It doesn't work that way. You have to code it, and then you have to be tested, and then you have to see it works like it should. And not just that, if DCS can handle it, and that's where it takes time, and we can't make that faster. I mean, we are making it as fast as we can, and as fast as it should be done if we want to do it right. I mean, there are a lot of stuff that we can do, and I'm going to be very emphatic on this. There's a lot of stuff we can do, cutting corners and putting out our own solutions. It will work. you will see it, you'll probably be even happy with it. But then DCS changes. DCS goes to further version, gets better, and that thing gets broken, and we cannot fix it because it won't work anymore. So what we do is we go at the same flow as Eagle Dynamics because we want you, the user, to have this smoother experience dealing with our product. I know some people don't like it. I know a lot of people bitch about it, but that's how it goes. I mean, we can put a lot of solutions. Larry is incredibly good coder. I'm amazed what he can do. You will see a lot of stuff think out of the box and implement it. But the practicity of putting it out in DCS, it will mean that you will be happy for maybe a month. Then stuff changes, and all hell breaks loose, and you won't be able to enjoy it anymore. So it will be a lot of work to delete that stuff and go back to number zero again and go from the beginning. It's better to work at the same flow. So we're stuff that we know that can be made, stuff that we know needs to be fixing. It's not that we are overlooking at it. It's because it's not yet there to be fixed. Will be fixed, but we have to finish some stuff first.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as you were outlining that, number one, I think if you don't go in line with what Ed's doing, that you end up with rework and broken software, and that's never fun, even though there may be some patches you could do along the way. So quick question for you on the Tarawa. Are there any plans to update the Tarawa to utilize the supercarrier functionality?
Yes. Probably not the Tarawa itself. Probably a new error, probably a US America class, LHA, or maybe the Tarawa. We're not exactly right now in a position to say which will be the best decision for us to make. But it will be done either way. But we have to wait. Again, we have to wait for Eagle Dynamics to finish their core development for the supercarrier so we can see what can be done and what we can adapt or we can learn from them to put into inside the game, so it will go smoothly. It won't be broken later. It won't be broken, and you know what will happen if things stop working, and then oh my God, I paid for this and it's not working now.
Yeah, as you said, there is a very vocal crowd today, and you would hear a lot about it.
Yeah.
So absolutely understand.
But yes, supercarrier functionality is something we dreamed from day one when we were developing the Tarawa. We even toyed with some animations with the you see there's a tactic crewman in the Tarawa right now. We play with some animations. We what could be done, what cannot be done. But at the end, we decide no, we're just gonna look. It's gonna look sterile. It's gonna look like carousel because it's gonna go back. We're gonna have really won't look real. So we just decided to go with static crewman.
No, I just wanted to say that it certainly would be a great improvement for all the Harrier ups, and I hope it will come together with some extra assets like other ships, etc., landing craft.
You have to keep in mind as well that the Harrier will definitely include a British carrier.
Oh yeah.
So could be the Invincible or could be the Royal. I'm not sure yet, but it will include a carrier. Not included in the Falklands map, or probably included in the Falklands map, but you don't have to have the Falklands map to have. But you can have the Sea Harrier, but not the Falklands map, but you will have the carrier as well.
Perfect. All right, so maybe to finish off with the current models, if you could say a few words about MiG-19. So there was a question. So what was the decision behind having MiG-19? Is it like a test bed for MiG-23 that's coming up down the line?
Okay, the MiG-19 The main developer name is Carlos. He got access to the real MiG-19 and former pilots. Also, he had access to real MiG-23 and current pilots. So when I met him, he was posting in ECS forums about what he was doing, and I approached him and said, "Okay, what do you want to do? I mean, you have you want to go commercial or you want to go freeway? What's your idea?" And I saw he's a very, very, very talented developer. I say, you know what? I think you should go first with an easier model before you get into something more complicated as a MiG-23. And we didn't have back then a license for a MiG-23. I know you remember that we announced a MiG-23, then Eagle Dynamics said we won't get into MiG-23 because they were developing, and then we get it back. And the idea behind the MiG-19 was to create something different, Bradford, and I don't know, quite interesting aircraft that you didn't actually know, because I don't think there's even a MiG-19 in FSX. And since he have access to all the information about the plane, there is no untie knot. Everything is there, and we say, okay, let's go. We knew it was not going to be a big hit, but when I put out something to say, hey, look, we can fly a MiG-19 now, and whatever you see in that plane, even if some people complain about it doesn't fly right or whatever, it's up to the numbers. Because it's been tested by former pilots, and the guy that developed the flight model, CJ, he did an amazing work with it.
Yeah, I was amazed to see how fun it is to fly. And I was never into any Soviet or Russian jets. When I started working on MiG-19, I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to MiG-23 as well.
Probably one of the problems with the MiG-19 is that you don't have what to fight against ECS right now. We are fixing that.
That's okay, because there was a question about the plans to have the pack or Cold War pack or something like that for assets and AI assets. So that's what you're referring to, right?
Exactly.
Right. All right. So, Red Kite, Goat, anything else on the current things, or we can move to I think what most of the people are asking about, which is the Mud Hen.
The Mud Hen?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So
Sounds good to me.
There's lots of questions of F-15E. So I know if you want to say just a few words about it in general, or should we go with the questions that we had?
Yeah, shoot away.
So the first one was, how hard was it to get the official license from Boeing for F-15 Eagle?
Well, the Boeing license came from Eagle Dynamics.
All right.
They have the license for the plane, so when we sign up for the contract, it was part of the contract, and all the legal grounds are on it. It includes a lot of limitations, but also a lot of things we can do. You gotta keep in mind that F-15E is currently America's premier strike aircraft.
But I think it's also, there was a recent episode on Fighter Pilot podcast on F-15E, and it seems that it's at least part of avionics. It's pretty old still. It's not been upgraded very much, which should make the work easier, right?
Yes or no? it might sound easier, but it's not easier than the Harrier, for instance. Well, they're quite different aircraft, but functionality on F-15E it's more complex than in a Harrier. But we got all the information and all what we can put out for the public. I know people are asking for more newer versions. Uh, we still we have an outline plan of what version we're coming out. We have not disclosed it out yet because we might be able to pull out a newer version than the one we have planned right now. But what I can tell you right now up front is it won't be latest version. So many people are asking, like currently they want the JDAMs and laser guided rockets and stuff. I can't promise anything because we are still dealing with which final version we are doing. But I cannot put out anything right now because we are trying to get as late as possible we can.
I understand you put all those things in after you release F-35, right?
I'm not crying F-35.
And I mean, that also is kind of linked. There's a lot of questions about the backseater. So the Gib, how are you said that you're not planning anything like the Jester included, but on the other hand, I know lots of people also, even in the multiplayer, they would like to have some, let's say, AI help in flying. So is it the final decision, or are you still thinking on how to deal with that?
Okay, this is where I put the line. I don't like AI backseaters. Mainly because, like I said, we create training tools. So there won't be an AI backseater like Jester, which in itself it's a good development. But it will be multiplayer. So two persons can fly the same plane at the same time. Somebody can be the WSO and somebody else can be the pilot. While people will say, I will need to share the workload. In F-15E, you can actually do everything from the front seat. But there won't be an AI Jester-like stuff in the F-15E. But I can assure you, it will be multiplayer. There's been some gossip around the internet that it won't be able to be used for two persons. No, that's not true. It's going to be able.
Okay, that's good. There were a few questions about that. So the multiplayer thing is sorted. It will be multiplayer-able. I don't know if that's the word, but I just created it. And then the very technical question we got, or for me at least. You talked about the block and software a little bit, and there's also a question about the engine, if it's -220 or -229, if you know the answer.
I can't speak freely about it right now. It will be announced publicly when the time comes. Because, like I said before, we are trying to push for the latest version possible.
And so that'll be available by this Christmas?
In 2 weeks.
What? To
Just
be
kidding,
honest,
just kidding.
no. Our plans for an early access is for this year.
Oh, that's great.
So
Yeah,
I think that you have more concrete information about it and don't take my word of it, but I think that you have some more concrete information by July. And it could be before, it could be after, not sure. This whole pandemic have changed a lot of the way we're working now. Because since most of us work at home because we have software development, you don't need an actual office. You don't need to, you need a computer and good internet connection. But you have to also deal with the psychological part of it. So people are working on this project. There's some worry about their families or worry about the situation. So I cannot push people. Say, okay, you know what? I need you to start working on this. I need you to push forward. I decided that people should, work around the psychological aspect of what's going around in the world, and I'm just letting them go at their own flow, at their own speed. I know maybe people do not like to know it, but we are all humans, and humans are the ones that create this amazing stuff. They're coding and stuff. They're humans, and they have their own fears and personal problems. So Right now, with what's going on around the world, I let them, freely in this case. We work. You work at your own flow as you feel you should do. Uh, Deadlines have been moved. Uh, Private schedules have been changed because of this. Some have, family members sick. Some are worried about family members. Some are worried about themselves. What's going around? So it's a very
Yeah, there's definitely certainly some different dynamics. My entire company's working
yeah.
from their homes now, and we're seeing different types of stress. Certainly, I was saying earlier, my 2 5-year-old kids. Every meeting I start, I apologize from the get go of like, hey, this is going to be interrupted. Just telling you. So yeah, I can definitely see it, and I actually think uh, it's a it's a good strategy to let the folks proceed at their own pace at this point, given everything that's going on.
For instance, I'm a father of two kids. I'm a wife. We are all traveling from home, and not used to have everybody here. And I'm also a 2D developer, and I also run RAZBAM, and I have to sometimes deal with my family, my kids' fears, my wife fears, and I see it from my point of view, and I talk with everybody in RAZBAM every day. How you doing? How you feel? How you going? And they tell me their problems and stuff. And I say, you know what? You need to stop a bit and go around. Just do it. And health is first. The world keeps spinning, and this stuff will be released eventually. I know some people might not like the idea. We're taking longer, or they feel entitled to ask for stuff since they paid, or they're waiting, or whatever. But if there's something I've learned 18 years in this, is that if the person behind all this developments does not feel right or have a problem, stuff won't be made the right way. Or they might walk away, or you have something that goes straight to vaporware. So my main drive behind what we do here is behalf of the people working in RAZBAM, all the teams, and like I said, you can mess with me. I don't care if you go around, and insult me like they have done a lot of times in places like Hoggett. But don't mess with my members because I'll defend them because they are the guys that actually make this wheel turn. So having said that, all our schedules have changed. Everybody is working at their own pace. Uh, Sometimes I have two guys sometimes are hit by depression. I say, okay, you know what? Stop. Go out. I mean, don't stress it out. Just work around it. And
Yep.
they're doing it the way we can do it. And the thing is, we'll do it, but it might take a bit longer. Sometimes it doesn't take that long. Sometimes it takes longer. It's a whole different
Yeah.
dynamic.
No. Yeah. No. For sure. And I think that just software. I think often people try to oversimplify software, and software I always think it's interesting because it hasn't been done before. It generally is. If it had been done, then it'd be easier to do. But when you're making something, you're designing something, you're creating software like this, it's complex. It
Exactly.
takes time.
And it's not just us. I mean, even Eagle Dynamics. I mean, everything has changed. It's right now. I mean, something we're living currently. It won't be forever. It changed next month. Uh, Maybe next week. We don't know. We just have to be patient. Just keep working at the pace we can work and keep moving forward. But not like whiplashing people. We need to finish this. That's not the way. I did it that before, but not right now. There are a lot of stuff going around everybody's mind. And lots of fear around, a lot of worry around, and people are very stressed. Confinement is not good for it. Even if you have a huge house, confinement is not something that you're looking forward, and people tend to get really stressed.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's I think that's without a doubt. I was kind of joking that it's a good thing my wife and I like each other. This is
Yeah.
problem.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like
Well, I was going to ask you, how did, and I know that you and Baltic Dragon have had a relationship for a bit. How did that relationship start?
let me see if I remember correctly. I think I met him through Matt Warner.
Yeah, it's Matt. It was Matt.
Matt introduced us because we needed Matt when we threw the Mirage out. We were making the draft for the final product. They asked us if you have to include campaign. I don't have the first damn idea how to do a campaign. Yes. So he say, I know a guy that is really good for it. He's really, really professional. That's how I met him.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see how long Baltic's been doing this, and a lot of the relationships he has in the industry.
Amazing work. I mean, this is I really admire his patience because I have been trying to. When I test stuff, I create my own missions, and I say, how can somebody do this for a living?
Well, it was funny because we had some of the campaign developers on a few weeks back, and I started thinking about, do you enjoy flying more or making the campaigns? And I think that it was a pretty good question, but they all talked about how when they started up, if they're going to fly something themselves, how they start up in campaign editor to start for themselves. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, I come from like I told you before, I come from the Microsoft Flight Simulator community, and I was a really, really big, huge Flight Simulator tune-up. I love it. I was crazy about it. For me, it was the best thing ever invented after the Coca-Cola and sliced bread. And I used it had a mission editor, and you can create campaigns and stuff. It was like 10 times more complicated what you do with DCS now, but it was simpler at the same time because you just put stuff here, carry here, there, and you take off from point A, you attack point B, and then you land it again. You didn't have, and you want water, you include water, and that's it. When you go to DCS and you have all these options, all the stuff you can do to make it look as real as possible, that it overwhelms me. I mean, I simply can't. What I do is I take off from some place and bomb somewhere else and come back. That's it. And that's how I test, or do multiplayer and test it, or use Baltic Dragon's missions. But the way I gotta say, bias comment here, is Harrier training missions are the best I've seen around.
No, they're really thorough. It's absolutely amazing. And I think, the combination of his attention to detail, certainly with the Harrier, and the quality of the Harrier as a product is amazing. So I've just, like I said, that was the one product for me that really got me started in DCS and made it that compelling. So yeah, I think, and certainly working with him on the upcoming Raven 1 campaign and seeing the interaction with fighter pilots, but also the attention to detail and the whole quality flow is just fantastic. So it's been obviously I'm a big fan of Baltic.
Well, I gotta tell you,
I'm blushing a bit.
I'm a big fan of this Harrier.
But I have to say on my side, thanks for the very kind words. But also, I really enjoy working with Ron and Larry and other guys at RAZBAM on the missions, because they're also very open to my suggestions and things I find during mission building, campaign building, and they are very open to including some of the remarks or some ideas into the models. So it's a very two-way cooperation in a way. So it's really nice.
Yeah, also I want to add, Harrier-wise, I'm a big fan of the Harrier, so you can expect, since I 3D developed myself, you can expect more Harriers coming in the future.
Great. So we've already passed 1 hour here, and still didn't even touch on Super Tucano. So if you could speak
Sure.
about that a little bit more.
Okay, the Super Tucano is being developed as a training tool for South American Air Force. I cannot publish most of the information I have yet because it still have to pass through some acceptance for them. And as usual, the procedure is they test the thing, test it, fly it, and say, okay, this can go and this can't go out. But mostly 95% of the actual plane will be able for user. It won't be changed. But it's basically a training tool being developed at first, and then it will be go through the common commercial version for DCS users. It's going to be very detailed. It's going to be the latest version with all the current avionics we have, all the weapons it can carry. It's a pretty modern turboprop, very capable. It can carry and shoots a lot of modern weapons. There's also some stuff it can't use, and I'm going to be straightforward with this one right now. You cannot expect the Super Tucano to use Mavericks, or you can't expect the Super Tucano to use the laser-guided rockets, at least not yet. But whatever it can drop, fire, shoot, the real plane, we're going to see it in the DCS version. Also, the same goes for the avionics.
And multiplayer? I mean, it's 2 seats
Of
as well,
course.
yeah.
There's no reason to develop a 2-seat aircraft which you cannot use in multiplayer.
Asking because we got asked that by the community, so I'm relaying that one.
In fact, it's going to be used as a 2-seater. I mean, it's going to be 2 persons, and the training tool is going to be used by 2 persons at the same time. So it will be multiplayer, 100%. Just like the F-15E, 100% multiplayer.
Perfect. Yeah, there's also another aspect of multiplayer that someone asked about. So not only multi-seat, but also if there's a niche for the Super Tucano in the multiplayer environment among the fast movers.
Okay, when you use Super Tucano, it's very dedicated plane for very dedicated work. Super Tucanos are mainly being used at night because, it's vulnerable, it's a turboprop, it's not that fast as a fast mover, it's not as fast as A-10. But it can put precision-guided munitions right in the spot where you don't expect them to fire at you. So, if you tell me, because I've been in the real aircraft simulator, I have like probably 5 hours flying in one. If there is a fun level, to call it some way, using this kind of aircraft versus fast mover and stuff, I'm telling you, yes. I mean, there's one thing to go out and fight in F-15E Strike Eagle or maybe in a Harrier that you know that you can probably defend yourself at 1-to-1 to say MiG-29 or MiG-21 or I don't know. In Super Tucano, you have to be stealthy in a way that you don't want to be seen, and you have to go down, low, or high in the dark. It's fun, if you can say in some way. Yeah.
It's probably what you feel flying A-10 in multiplayer sometimes, I guess. It would be similar, but even more challenging.
It's going to be challenging, yeah. The thing is, something I've seen in most multiplayer servers, the people like to fire missiles before you actually see the enemy, and scratch a notch in your fuselage. I shut down somebody else, but you are not using the actual aspect of flying the plane the way you should. The thing is that you have to create, and Baltic will be here, you have to create campaigns or something specifically that you can use the Super Tucano in. It's something else to fly it. I haven't flown a real one. I've been in the simulator. I've been flying missions in the simulator. something else. I mean, gotta take the people flying these planes are really, really. I mean, it's not like A-10. It's like flying a faster Apache chopper.
Yeah. I already have an
Right.
idea for a campaign for it in Caucasus, but that's later to come.
Yeah.
All right, guys, do you have anything else for Super Tucano? I think we could slowly start wrapping it up. Just looking through the questions we have. So, anything else on that one?
Not especially. No, I've got one thought, which is how it would play in DCS. I think it would be quite an interesting aircraft to operate alongside helicopters in DCS as a close air support platform. And you could also incorporate that quite nicely into night ops. And I assume they have a targeting pod for the Super.
Yeah, of course.
Does that feature things like laser spotlights for NVG visibility, infrared laser?
Super Tucano?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does have MBGs and night. It have basically designed to fly at night.
So I think that could be quite an interesting avenue as a night ops helicopter insertion, for example, where you've got them providing the initial strike or CAS as it goes on. But yeah, I think that'd be quite an interesting module for very specific circumstances. I think it could be really good fun.
Yep. I mean, I'm talking from my point of view. I'm very close to this aircraft, and I'm telling you, the reason I decide to put it out is because I know it's gonna be something else, something different.
I think there's a lot of people waiting for this one in the community. At least I've seen lots of positive comments about it, so that's good. And speaking of helicopters, I know there's this Militech cooperation on BO 105, but there's also questions. Are there any other plans for helicopters from your side?
Certainly, yes. There are plans for 3 different helicopters. One's a heavy helicopter. I cannot speak freely about it because there's some little stuff that gotta be around it, or I can say it out in the open. And 2 medium helicopters. The 3 of them are transport helicopters with you can put weapons on it, but they're not attack helicopters. The big one is American, and the other 2 are European. I cannot speak freely about it for 2 main reasons. First, I don't want to create a hype train yet, and second, there are some legal grounds that got to be deal with before I could say out in the open.
All right. So guess we'll have to see how popular we are as a podcast right now. Whether what you just said will create a hype train anyway or not in the forums or elsewhere. But okay, so there's lots of questions about different modules. So maybe I'll give you the name of a module that someone put up as a possible model for the future, and you can say yes, no, or I don't know, whatever you want to say. Okay.
Okay.
Talking about flyable ones. So Mirage 3.
Yes.
A4 Skyhawk.
Okay, I'm gonna answer that one this way. I started in this business creating A4 Skyhawks.
All right. Then this one I don't know how do you pronounce it? It's Spanish or Hal Tejas or Hal Tejas? I don't know.
Oh, the Hal Tejas?
Yeah.
That's an Indian aircraft. No.
Okay. Then this question: Super Intendant.
Yes, we already have a mesh.
A6 Intruder.
No.
And then.
Nah, at least not in my immediately plan.
Okay. And the Gripen.
Next question, please.
Gripen. Oh, okay. Next question. Got it. All right. I think that's.
I can add some stuff to what you said about future products.
Sure, please go ahead.
If I may. We are developing 3 surprise ones. One's going to be, I'm pretty sure people are going to be surprised about it. It's an English aircraft. Pretty popular in its time. Basically being developed to be the antagonist of the MiG-19. And there are also another one is a British aircraft that will become first out as an AI. I'm on the fence about when to actually. I'm in the fence of putting it out as a flyable model, just leave it in AI. But that will be the Canberra. It's gonna be an AI for the Falklands. It's gonna be in the Argentinian side. Also, there is a Pucara being developed that won't be included with the Falcons map. Will be for the Falcons map.
I also remember we put up some pictures on Facebook of a Bronco.
But yeah, that's a personal project of mine. I was going with it. I don't know when I'm gonna finish it. I have to be honest with you. I just move into it and then move away from it. It will be ready when it's gonna be ready. In fact, I was in France last year. Orange. There was an air show over there, and there's this guy that owns a Bronco, and I took a lot of pictures. I went over there. I was with that plane, and I asked a lot of questions. Pretty good guy, and got a lot of info. But the problem was that it was the German version, which was actually a tow truck and target tow plane, so it didn't have the side panels for the version I was interested in. But I got a lot of pictures of other stuff, so I pick it up eventually. There is one day I want to test some new stuff in 3D, and then I move into it and add to it, and then. But yeah, it will be. It's not a priority for me right now because it's a personal project of mine. But it will be done when they will be done. Right now, I'm more into. Right now, actually, I'm deep into the me as a 3D developer into the Harrier and developing some AI for the Falcons map, aircraft AI.
So when I forgot to ask because I'm a big fan of asking about timeline questions. Do we have a timeline on the Falklands map?
Yes and no. I think we have something by the end of this year.
Okay.
It seems that you have your hands plate pretty full for next years to come. So maybe we will have a F-35 after you finish all those projects. There's a lot of lots of ideas, lots of good things to come. So perfect. All right, I think we could start wrapping it up, unless you have some more questions, guys.
I just had one question around. I wasn't sure if you've ever. I mean, right now you're certainly working with the DCS World platform. Have you thought about using something like the Prepare 3D from Lockheed Martin?
Well, I came from there. When FSX started to show its age, we moved into Prepare 2D. I think it was Prepare 2D version 3, the last one we developed something for. But the development dynamic is completely different. There's so much you can do and so much you can't do in Prepare 2D that there's actually no limit in DCS. So from a developer standpoint, to create a simulate a replica of a plane, and this is personal opinion, okay? I don't want to step on somebody else's toes or offend anyone. But I think that the DCS and core engine as it is right now, it's a lot better to replicate it with more fidelity any plane that you have in mind, given the fact that there is the tool in it. I mean, I'm going to rephrase that. All what it needs DCS to be completely perfect for me would be the air-to-ground radar API. Other than that, I replicate a lot of stuff that you simply can't in Prepare 2D or FSX for that matter. For instance, vertical spectral thrust, you can't do that in Prepare 2D or FSX. We can do it in DCS. Upper flight dynamics, it's more close to real in DCS than, well, actually helicopter dynamics in Prepare 2D and FSX are a joke. Sorry. They're not really, I mean, they look good, they look great, but they don't actually fly it. Like one maybe in this regard explains better, but DCS is the best that regard. So I don't think we are going backwards, but for us would be like just stepping back. And there are a lot of great developers in that market. I mean, people are really cherish and honor people that are, I mean, great developers that have great minds working there. But I don't see myself going back into it because for us, will be like stepping back.
Got
I
it.
don't know about Flight Simulator 2020. I don't think I can stretch my current workflow into simulators like that. I mean, DCS as it is extremely demanding. The results are great, and I don't think I can. I might stretch the line too thin if I move into another platform. In this case, that should be a new platform like FS 2020. I don't think so. I'm not saying I won't do it, but I really don't think so. Right now, we are 100% committed to DCS. I have a clear picture of DCS roadmap. I know where it's going. I know where it's heading. I know it's going to be awesome. Nick Gray's idea of what should be done with it's amazing. I'm pretty sure he's going to make it real. One of the best things I find about it is that it's always evolving. So nothing is set for ground. I mean, new stuff is coming. You can add more stuff. You never finish a plane per se. That's where when people say, okay, when are you going to finish the Harrier? We're going to finish in Mirage, or we're going to finish in MiG-19, or when you're going to finish F-15E, whatever we put it out. I think the solution will be never. What we do is we fix bugs. And bugs will always appear because the thing is always changing. So you catch my drift. It's a never-ending work.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Kind of closing comment about DCS. I really like it as a maybe a segue to a I hope upcoming interview with Nick Gray pretty soon, so we could delve in that a little bit more.
His idea was gonna be about this is amazing. I mean, you got a great team. I know people complain about their business model. I'm working thin ice right now. We're gonna put my personal opinion out. I think he's in the right track, given what they are doing. Because one thing is to work with Finnish core engine. What I'm trying to say, for instance, the FSX or Prepare 2D, right? You have a version and that's it. You're not changing it every time. You pay for the right to play. Well, in DCS, you can have it for free, and you pay for what you want to fly. Prepare 2D or FSX, you pay for the seat to watch movies, and at the same time, you pay for stuff to fly in. You simply can't get the same kind of experience that you do with DCS. Something that's always changing, always going for the best. Might not work for everyone. That's also a truth. I mean, there are some people that have cutting-edge computers, some people that have mid-range computers, and there are some people that are actually hanging in there with what they have for, 4 or 5 years. It might not be for everyone. Sadly, it's a truth. You might not be able to run it. You might be frustrated because you can't use it the way you see in somebody else's pictures in the internet. I mean, I developed for DCS. I see some pics in there's a guy that posts pictures in Instagram. They look real. I can't take a screenshot like he does. I mean, I have a great computer, but I don't know how I can get the amazing pics. It's always changing. It's always going for the best. And when you play with something that's always evolving, you have to You have to work in a way that you can enjoy stuff without waiting forever for it to be out. I mean, people complain about early access. If there weren't early access, people think that early access is a way of making money and walk away with it. That's not, well, at least not for us, RAZBAM. I can guarantee you 100% it's not the same way for Eagle Dynamics. But if it wasn't for early access, you would be waiting years for the chance to fly an unfinished model because it's always changing. For instance, what are the common complaints about Harrier about radios? Radios are very difficult to code in DCS. As it is right now, very difficult to code. It's the hardest of them all. But right now, it is working to simplify the radio so it can be more complex and at the same time more simple to develop. It's changing. What it means that whatever you do right now for radios won't work in the future. Having early access, you won't even have the chance to fly the plane until you have the radios working. I don't know if you catch my drift.
Yeah, it's really evolving. I would call it environment basically, and of course you always have to adapt to that. I see that from my point of view, which is much smaller, only the campaigns, but there's lots of very cool, nice stuff that's been added in the last years that make them so much better. And I can imagine that with big things like graphics engine, etc., that's even a huger leap. And yeah, I agree. It's a never-ending story with updating, bug squashing, adding some new features. Well, it's not good to hear, but I really like that last comment or about the future of DCS in general. I think it's nice. It's very exciting to see where it all goes.
It will be amazing. Another stuff. I'm talking from a personal level right now. I'm taking out my RAZBAM hat and talking as Ron Zambrano. When you read around people having problems with their installations, and every time a new update comes out, the thing is most people have their stuff modded. You got mods that change stuff and add stuff when you don't actually realize it screws something else. And then you install an update, and that update gets screwed because of the mod you have. I mean, modders are great people. I mean, it's amazing the things people can get out. I mean, I use some mods. I mean, it's great. I mean, I know nothing against them. But if you are one that you are used to mod your sim, mod your game, you also have to be aware that you don't have a plain installation. You have something that's changed, and when you put something new, it might not work or it might break something else. That's how it is. I mean, it's not us, not DCS, it's not Eagle Dynamics. It's your mod. And mods are great. I mean, I use mods. Mods are amazing. I mean, others are people that put out stuff for free. I think is great. It gives life until something is coming, but you gotta be aware that it might break something else.
I recall a time where I installed a mod. I think it was for the French helicopter carrier. And as a result of having that mod installed, it broke all the wakes on all the ships in the game apart from the mod, which is a bit of a nuisance.
I think I went through the same aircraft carrier. I had a problem that way. I installed a carrier. I think it was a chopper carrier. No, it was a Russian carrier.
That explains it.
Chopper carrier. It really, really, really screwed everything in my sim. I had to install everything and install again. And this is the time I was creating Tarawa. What is going on? I mean, it was working a few minutes ago. I say, oh, I installed this thing. I have to install it. So that's the other stuff. When you're working this as a business, you have to forget about using it for leisure and work.
Yeah, but it's interesting though with but it's, and just on the geek side, it's the difference between a product and a project. Most people expect things to have a fixed beginning and a fixed end as a project, but the reality is that these are products that have releases and iterations.
Exactly.
And that's not one of the things that everybody understands.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Exactly, that's a good way to put it. The thing is, there's something we can put in my RAZBAM head again. The thing I can promise and set you for certain is that we never abandon any of our products. Never, never, never. I mean, look what we did with the Mirage, where it stands right now as it is. I mean, it's being used as a training tool in French Air Force. It's being used also as a recruiting tool. Every time you go to in air show, wherever is the French Air Force have a stand, and you will find a virtual reality setup with our Mirage. And you will see a kid flying it. I will see a teenager asking how to join. We never abandon our stuff, no matter how old they are, no matter how time has passed. We'll keep updating them. If you see the way the original Mirage cockpit was to what it is right now, it's like night and day. The same thing happened with the Harrier. The thing is, nobody noticed it. Now you're going to have a new Harrier body pilot. And it will happen as well with the MiG-19. It will happen with the MiG-23 when it comes out. It will happen with Super Tucano. Whenever Super Tucano comes out, it will be what is up to current development quality. The same with the F-15E. The F-15E is going for the third cockpit version. The third version we are doing. We are changing for a third time. We are putting the new cockpit in it. We are changing the 3D art for the third time. And a lot of work.
Yeah, but what you said about French Air Force and the DCS and Mirage 2000, I think it's a testament to how great, I mean, to your work, of course, but also how great DCS is and how realistic it is and how good it is in recreating the real life as much as possible in a sim, of course. So that's why we love it.
Yes, and I think that what we have right now as simulator fans, DCS, it's top of the line. I don't know what happened next. Like I said, I don't know what happened whenever F-2020 comes out. My experience with Microsoft products as a developer, no matter how great they are, there is a quite difference between the community user base. People that fly something like Flight Simulator, or they fly civilian planes. They really don't want to go through military or combat phase. I remember when we developed the A6 for FSX, we were the first one to include options to drop bombs, and it was a tremendous debate about if you have to include violence into FSX. FSX all about visuals. Microsoft all about visuals. Where you the way your senses catch the visuals in the simulator, while DCS is more about replicating systems in an incredibly amazing visual scenario. Different stuff.
I think the difference when you look at the community base is that I know about Flight Simulator, but in DCS there's really lots of real life civilian airline pilots and people that fly, really. And they find it interesting because it's so different than the daily job. I don't think you'll find so many of them in a Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, well, you know what? I have some civilian planes for DCS that will never be released because I know people are going to go with pitchforks and torch my house.
Yeah, and here it's Air Combat Simulation Podcast, so we'll focus on DCS.
I know. But I actually fly them in my DCS. I have 2 civilian planes in my DCS installation.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing? We won't judge.
No. It's 2 Cessna aircraft.
Oh, That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I don't think they will see the light of the day out there because I don't want people to come to my house with pitchforks and start,
We won't tell them where you live. Don't worry. Okay, Ron, thank you very, very much for your time and for this great interview. I think there's lots of things to look forward to for all of us when it comes to your products and what will come up next. So thanks for taking time and being with us here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for liking our stuff. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak a bit about RAZBAM, my team, me personally, and yeah, looking forward to whenever you got some questions or anything, you just can come ask me, no problems. We have also a Discord channel too, where I personally attend. It's easier if you want to catch me, you can catch me there. I always checking stuff. I don't always answer because I'm working too. But thank you very much, and looking forward for more iteration with you guys.
Thanks. We'll put the contact details in the show notes so that it's easier to reach out for everyone. And all right, so I think that's it. Unless, as Jello says, you have any parting shots?
I wanted to say a quick thank you, Ron, as well, for one, for developing the Harrier. It's nice to have something with British influence in the sim, but also because the Harrier was a big part of my YouTube channel getting started up, and it first got recognised with the Harrier and doing tutorials for it. So thank you. I look forward to all the mysterious unannounced projects and what you have announced that's on its way.
Actually, Ron, to add to it, I used part of Red Kite's excellent tutorials when working on the training missions for the Harrier. So he's also coming.
Thank you, yeah.
He also dragged me into testing a bit as well.
All right, thanks a lot. That's it for this time, and stay tuned, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to Air Combat Sim. Don't forget to subscribe or tell a friend about it. You have a question, idea for an episode, or a special guest you'd like us to invite? Feel free to reach out on Facebook, Discord, or via email. Air Combat Sim was brought to you by BVR Productions.